Have you ever felt like you were sprinting toward a finish line that keeps moving further away? No matter how hard you run, you write the vision. You post the goal on your wall. You say the affirmations, visualize the victory. And for a moment, just a moment, you feel like you're unstoppable. But then life happens. Motivation fades. And you wonder, was it me? Did I not want it enough? But maybe the issue isn't you. Maybe the issue is the way we chase goals in the first place. In today's episode, I want to offer a radical shift in thinking, one grounded in ancient wisdom and modern truth. Stop chasing outcomes. Start building systems, because the path to a powerful life isn't paved by dreams. It's paved by discipline. Most people live their lives chasing a finish line they may never reach. They set ambitious, shiny goals. They tell their friends. They post about them online. They write them down in their journals in bold, confident letters. And for a little while it works. There's momentum. There's excitement. The idea of change feels intoxicating. But weeks pass, and that fire begins to flicker. Why? They think the problem is motivation. I just need to stay inspired. I need more discipline. I'll start again next Monday. But the real problem isn't lack of motivation. It's the lack of a system. Ask yourself this: what's more important, being hyped for your goal, or having a structure that supports it when you're no longer hyped? Stoicism reminds us of something powerful. Life is not about chasing distant, uncertain outcomes. It's about shaping today, this moment, in a way that reflects our values and strengthens our character. The Stoics didn't obsess over the end result. They obsessed over what was in their control, the next action, the next choice, the next step. That's what systems are. A system is the daily rhythm you follow, regardless of your mood. It's the structure that holds you steady, whether you're inspired or exhausted. It's how you show up, not just once, but every single day. In this video, I'm not going to encourage you to dream bigger. I'm going to challenge you to build better systems. Because when you live by a system, you don't need to wait for some future victory to feel proud of yourself. You start feeling that pride now. Every step becomes progress. Every day becomes a win. Let's be real. Most people treat goals like magic spells. They think if they write them down enough times, repeat them aloud, or visualize them with enough energy, the universe will somehow bend to their will. But while clarity is important, goals without systems are nothing more than wishes dressed up as plans. Here's the truth. If your goal is the summit of a mountain, your system is the pair of boots you lace up each morning. It's the grip of your hand on the climbing rope. It's the deliberate act of putting one foot in front of the other, no matter the weather. Because rain or shine, tired or inspired, ready or reluctant, your system keeps you moving. Stoicism teaches us to focus on what we can control. You can't control outcomes. You can't guarantee that your book becomes a bestseller, that your business goes viral, routine, or that your body transforms in 30 days. Life is far too unpredictable for guarantees. But what can you control? You can control your morning routine. You can control what you feed your mind. You can control how you respond to setbacks. You can control the next step. The Stoics would say, anchor yourself in the present moment, because this is where action lives. And that's what systems do. They bring your focus back to the now, where your power lives. Let's say someone declares, I want to write a book. That's a goal. Inspiring? Yes, but also vague and fragile. But what if they instead say, I will write 500 words every morning at 7 p.m. That is a system, and that system doesn't care if they're tired. It doesn't wait for inspiration. It just asks them to show up. One approach depends on emotional spikes. The other builds consistency, like compound interest. Slowly, steadily, powerfully. Here's something you've probably felt before. You set a goal. You go after it. But every day you wake up painfully aware you're not there yet. And that gap, it eats at you. It drains your energy. It whispers lies. You're not good enough. You're still behind. You should have been further by now. That pressure can paralyze you. But systems reframe the game. They shift your focus to what's within reach. They say, forget the finish line. Focus on the next footstep. You stop obsessing over what you don't have and start taking pride in what you're building. In Stoic terms, goals are tied to externals. They're tied to recognition, applause, results you can't fully control. Systems are tied to internals, your choices, your actions, your mindset. Epictetus once said, "The measure of a person is not in what they hope to get, but in what they choose to do every single day, regardless of reward." That's real power. That's the kind of power that doesn't wait to be celebrated. It lives quietly in the shadows of daily effort, and it grows. Systems set you free from the tyranny of the finish line. Because when you build your life around a process, you stop living for a highlight moment. You start living in a way where every moment becomes part of your arrival. And here's the beautiful twist. Systems often outperform goals, not because they ignore results, but because they produce results as a byproduct. You don't have to chase rewards. The reward starts chasing you. Your health improves. Your mindset sharpens. Your creativity flows. Your confidence grows. All because you showed up. When you run a system well enough, the goal becomes inevitable. But by the time you get there, you've already become the kind of person who didn't need the goal in the first place. So let me ask you seriously, are you chasing an image in your head? Or are you building daily practices that bring that image to life? Because one will keep you waiting, the other will keep you moving. And movement, not intention, is what transforms your life. If you've ever set a goal and failed to reach it, you're not alone. You know that sting it leaves behind, the disappointment, the self-blame, the shame. But hear this clearly. The problem isn't that you lacked desire. It's that you lacked a reliable system. Desire ignites the flame, but system keeps the fire burning. So as you leave this video today, don't just dream bigger, build better. Anchor your progress in the now. Design a life that works even when motivation disappears. Because the truth is, discipline beats inspiration, and systems will take you places that goals never could. So as we talked about earlier, goals often leave us chasing after a finish line we may never reach, while systems keep our feet moving regardless of the weather. Now let's dig deeper into why systems stand the test of life. While goals often crumble under pressure, many people assume they failed because they lack discipline, or that the goal they set was just too ambitious. But in reality, that's rarely the true reason. The truth is, goals by their very nature are fragile. They depend on so many variables falling into place at just the right time. Your energy, your mood, the environment around you, your schedule, your support system, even the unpredictability of life itself. Think about that for a second. When was the last time everything lined up perfectly in your world? Probably never, right? Goals require this perfect storm of motivation, timing, and circumstances, things that life rarely hands, uniquely wrapped on a silver platter. Instead, life throws in traffic jams, last-minute deadlines, bad sleep, emotional setbacks, and days when your energy is just gone. And that's where systems shine. Unlike goals, systems are built to survive reality. They don't care if your day starts off on the wrong foot. They don't rely on the perfect sunrise or your most productive mood. They just ask one thing: did you show up? Picture this. A goal is like betting on the weather. You make plans for a sunny day and cross your fingers that the rain holds off. But a system is like building a lifestyle that thrives in any forecast. You're prepared for sunshine, but you're also ready for storms. You packed the umbrella, laced up the boots, and adjusted your mindset. That's the quiet power of systems. They turn unpredictability into irrelevance. You don't have to hope the day goes your way. You're already prepared for either outcome. This is why systems are more dependable. They're designed for the real world, a world where your motivation fluctuates, where unexpected challenges show up uninvited, and where ideal conditions are the exception, not the rule. And long before modern productivity books started preaching systems over goals, the Stoics already knew this. They taught that true stability comes from anchoring yourself to what you can control. A goal says, I'll be happy when I achieve X. A system says, I'll live with purpose and discipline today, regardless of the outcome. Do you see the difference? One ties your joy and fulfillment to a future event you can't fully control. The other roots your sense of purpose in the present, where you actually have influence, where you can make real choices, where your actions matter. And that's not just a smarter way to succeed, it's a healthier way to live. Because systems don't just support productivity, they safeguard your peace of mind. Imagine waking up every morning, feeling the pressure of not being there yet. That mental gap between your current reality and your dream becomes a constant weight. It's like carrying a backpack full of unmet expectations. But now imagine waking up with clarity. You already know what today requires. You know the steps. You have a plan, not a perfect plan, but a repeatable one. That's the power of a system. When you're focused on a system, you stop measuring your life by a distant scoreboard. Instead, you measure it by your actions, things that are always within your control. Even on tough days, you're still able to build momentum, even when you're tired or overwhelmed. You can do something, a little bit, a step, a habit, a routine. And that leads us to one of the biggest advantages of systems: resilience. Let's face it, life doesn't ask for permission to throw curveballs. Illness, job loss, a family emergency, unexpected financial stress. If all you've built is a rigid goal, those curveballs can knock you completely off track. But a system can bend without breaking. You can scale it up when life is generous. You can scale it down when life is hard. Either way, the process continues. The system still runs. You're still moving forward. And there's more. Systems also give you something that's harder to measure, but deeply powerful: an emotional advantage. With goals, the mindset is all or nothing. You either reach the finish line or you fail. But systems offer a different perspective, one of ongoing progress. Every time you show up, even if just for 5 minutes, you're winning. Even a small effort is a success because it keeps you engaged. It keeps the momentum alive. And over time, something beautiful happens. You start seeing yourself differently. You stop thinking of yourself as someone who's trying. You begin to identify as someone who does. Not "I'm trying to get fit," but "I train daily." Not "I hope I'll be more productive," but "I start every morning with clarity and structure." That subtle shift rewires your identity. And ironically, as you stop obsessing over results, you begin getting better results than ever before. Why? Because you're no longer sprinting toward an arbitrary finish line. You're walking a path, one that's meaningful, repeatable, sustainable. A path that you've intentionally designed to last. And when the path itself brings fulfillment, you no longer feel the urge to rush to the end. Anyone can set a goal. That's easy. But building a life where success is baked into your daily actions, that's the hard part. And the worthwhile part. Because when success becomes a byproduct of who you are and what you do daily, progress becomes inevitable. Not because you forced it, not because you were perfect, but because you built a system that worked with your energy, your values and your life, not against them. And when the system runs, you move forward. And forward, my friend, is the only direction that truly matters. So now you understand, systems aren't about perfection. They're about progress. They bend with life, meet you where you are, and move you forward with grace. But to build a system that truly works, you need something else: self-awareness. The Stoics believed deeply in the power of self-examination, but not as a way to judge or criticize yourself. They would tell you, observe yourself like a student, not like a harsh critic. Why? Because understanding your patterns is the first step toward mastery. When you understand your energy rhythms, your behaviors, your inner wiring, you can build a system that doesn't require you to fight against yourself at every turn. Think about it like this. If you're a morning person, if your mind is sharpest during those first golden hours after you wake up, why waste them scrolling through social media or answering low-priority emails? Instead, your system should prioritize your most meaningful, focused work right then, when your clarity is at its peak. That's when you protect your time, when you write, think, plan, or create. Now what about those sluggish afternoon hours? When your energy dips, your focus drifts, and your body begs for a break? Instead of forcing yourself to grind through the slump, your system can adapt. Maybe you step outside for a quick walk, hit the gym for a short workout, or even lie down for a 15-minute rest. This isn't laziness, it's strategic recovery. Because the goal isn't to pack productivity into every single second. The goal is to design a natural flow, one that lets your best effort feel effortless. Your system should support your strengths and respect your limits. Ambition without realism? That's just a fast track to burnout. For example, if you've never run before, promising yourself you'll start running 5 miles every morning sounds impressive, but it's also a setup for disappointment. Start with 15-minute walks. Do it daily. Build the habit. Let it settle into your life. Once it becomes part of your rhythm, you can grow it. You can jog, go further, get stronger. But it starts small. It starts with consistency. Because small, steady, sustainable actions will always outperform grand gestures you can't maintain. And here's something even deeper. Your system should align with your values. If you're pushing toward goals that don't actually matter to you, if you're only doing it for validation, comparison, or applause, your system will eventually collapse. So take a moment and ask yourself, is this process moving me closer to the life I truly want? Or am I just chasing approval? The Stoics warned us, don't live by the expectations of the crowd. They said, follow your inner compass, not the roar of the world. Your system shouldn't be a performance for others. It should be a quiet rhythm that nourishes your soul and reflects your truth. And just like life evolves, your system should too. It's not supposed to be rigid. It's not a prison. It's a path and a flexible one. When your life changes, a new job, a move, a baby, a loss, again, your system can evolve with you. It's not fixed in stone. It's adjustable, adaptable, living. In fact, the best systems are like good friends, steady enough to rely on, but flexible enough to grow with you. And here's another secret to success. Remove friction. Design your system to make action easy. So easy, it becomes automatic. Want to read more? Keep your book next to your coffee cup. Want to exercise? Lay your workout clothes out the night before. Want to write? Open your document before bed, so it's waiting for you in the morning. Don't just rely on willpower. Build in ease. Make doing the right thing simpler than avoiding it. And then, slowly, something magical happens. The system disappears. Not because it's gone, but because it has become you. You no longer need to push or negotiate or remind yourself. It just flows. It's woven into your day. It's part of your identity. You don't dread it. You don't debate it. You just live it. That's when you know you've done it right. When your system doesn't just work for you. It becomes who you are. Now here's a warning. There's a subtle trap in the world of self-improvement. And it's one many people fall into. It's the trap of measuring your worth by whether or not you've arrived. When you fixate on the end result, you start living in a constant state of not enough. Every day feels like a race. You're either winning or failing. There's no space for the quiet, slow, invisible work that actually leads to lasting growth. But the Stoics would gently remind us the only thing truly within your control is the effort, not the outcome. And yet, most of us live like the outcome is everything. Yes, tracking progress is helpful, but only if it supports your journey, not if it sabotages your peace. Think of progress like a compass, not a scoreboard. A ship's captain doesn't stare at the destination every second. He watches the winds, the waves, the sails, adjusting the course as needed. He doesn't ask, am I there yet? He asks, am I headed in the right direction? Your system is that compass. So redefine what success means. It's not about completion. It's about consistency. If your system is to write for 30 minutes each day, then success is simply showing up and doing it. Whether the words flow like poetry or stumble like rocks. If your system is to eat healthier meals, success is choosing one better option today than you did yesterday. It doesn't have to be perfect, because over time, those quiet small wins, they stack up, they compound, they transform you. And finally, be mindful of this. When you obsess over results, your emotions ride a roller coaster. You feel amazing when you're ahead, and crushed when you fall behind. That emotional whiplash drains your spirit. It kills momentum. But when you focus on the process, you find stability. You understand that one bad day isn't failure. It's just a step, a moment. a comma, not a period. When your life is guided by systems, your growth is no longer tied to your mood or your motivation. It's tied to your movement. And that movement, steady, quiet, faithful, is what changes everything. So what happens when you stop obsessing over the scoreboard and start showing up for the process instead? That's where the real transformation begins. And that's where we pick up. You keep moving forward, not because every day feels perfect, but because your system tells you what to do next. Whether yesterday was a win or a struggle, the system remains the same. It's your steady hand on the wheel when the sea gets rough. And there's another trap we rarely talk about, outcome blindness. Sometimes we're so hyper-focused on reaching one particular goal, we completely miss the unexpected blessings unfolding along the way. You might start running to lose weight, but in time, you realize the real benefit isn't the number on the scale. It's the stress that melts away, the clarity that floods your mind, the emotional strength that builds with each mile. If you only track the pounds, you might miss the peace. That's the beauty of following a system. It leaves room for surprises. It lets you discover victories you never planned for. And tracking your progress, it doesn't have to be complicated or high pressure. It can be as simple as putting a check mark on a calendar, writing a one-line journal entry at the end of the day, or counting how many days in a row you've kept a promise to yourself. These quiet rituals are more than just habits. They are reminders. You're still here. You're still trying. You're still growing, even when it doesn't feel like anything is changing. Those tiny actions are doing their work beneath the surface. And here's the truth the world doesn't often tell you. Real results come slowly, quietly, without fanfare. There won't be a dramatic moment of transformation. Instead, you'll wake up one day, look around, and realize you're living differently. You're thinking differently. You're responding differently. Not because you sprinted to the finish line, but because you kept showing up over and over for the work. That's the power of measuring commitment over perfection. Because when you shift your focus away from the destination, you stop punishing yourself for not being there yet. You stop waiting to feel like enough, and you start living inside the process that's shaping you right now. And once you fully commit to that process, something incredible happens. The finish line stops being the point, because you've already won in the way you live. There's a powerful saying: we tend to overestimate what we can do in a day, and underestimate what we can do in a year. That's the paradox of ambition. The mind craves big leaps, fast changes, instant breakthroughs. But life rewards a different kind of person. Not the one who moves the fastest, but the one who endures the longest. The one who can show up for the quiet, invisible, unglamorous work day after day after day. And that right there is the heartbeat of Stoicism. Not dramatic gestures, not viral success, but daily discipline, inner alignment, small steps deeply rooted. Marcus Aurelius didn't become who he was through one heroic act. He became great by living his values consistently, in the quiet moments no one saw. Small actions are deceiving. One drop of water means nothing. 100 drops still leave little impact, but give it time. And that same water carves canyons through stone. That's what your habits are doing right now. Reading a few pages each morning might feel pointless today, but those pages shape the ideas you think about, the decisions you make, the person you become. Skipping a sugary drink seems trivial, but stack that decision 100 times, and you start to see the shift, your energy, your confidence, your body all begin to change. And here's the hidden advantage. Small actions bypass resistance. If you tell yourself to run 10 miles on day one, your brain will panic. It will look for excuses. It will sabotage you. But if you commit to one small step, just putting on your running shoes and stepping outside, the momentum begins. And often that's all you need. Just begin. Take the first step. That's why Stoicism focuses on what's within your control. And a small action, that's always within reach. You can't control the size of the mountain, but you can control the next step on the trail. There's a humility in this mindset. In a world that glorifies overnight success and dramatic transformation, you become someone different, someone patient, someone who understands that greatness is forged, not in bright lights, but in shadows, in repetition, In the quiet acts no one praises. It's washing the dishes tonight so your morning starts fresh. It's speaking with kindness when it would be easier to snap. It's showing up again when no one's watching. These are the acts that shape your life, because the Stoics knew character isn't revealed in moments of glory. It's revealed in the mundane, everyday conduct of your life. Epictetus said, "Small-minded people blame others. Average people blame themselves." The wise see it all as part of the game. And when you apply that wisdom, you stop seeing life as something to conquer and start seeing it as something to shape. One small choice at a time, you realize that your life isn't built in sudden bursts. It's built in the endurance of doing what matters over and over. And the moment you commit to small, consistent action, you free yourself. You don't need motivation to take one step. You just take it, and then something miraculous begins. Each step makes the next one easier. Each repetition strengthens the system. You don't chase progress anymore. You become progress. Brick by brick, breath by breath, step by step. So stop waiting for the perfect time to do something big. Just begin. So you've taken the first step. You've committed to small daily actions. And over time, you've seen how they build something lasting. But here's the next truth. Even the best system needs room to grow. You don't need to move a mountain today. You just need to do something small right now and repeat it tomorrow. That's how transformation happens. That's how lives are rebuilt. Not through massive, heroic bursts, but through quiet, consistent steps taken in the right direction. And as you live this way, system-driven, purpose-aligned, you'll realize something powerful. You're no longer chasing change. You're becoming the kind of person who creates change naturally, daily, without force. But even the most well-crafted system isn't meant to be followed blindly forever. Because life isn't still. The seasons change. Your circumstances evolve. Your energy, responsibilities, and priorities shift with time. What once worked perfectly may no longer fit. What once gave you energy may now leave you drained. And that's okay. The real danger isn't in having a flawed system. The danger lies in becoming so rigid that you ignore the signs telling you it's time to adapt. The Stoics understood this long ago. They taught that change is not the enemy, it's the nature of life itself. And our job is to remain flexible without losing our principles. A great system is a living system, one that breathes, one that adapts, one that grows with you. Think of a tree. Its roots dig deep into the soil. They anchor it, ground it. Those roots, your core values and principles, never change. But the branches, they bend, they sway with the wind, they stretch toward the light. If those branches refuse to move, they'd snap. Your routines, habits, and methods, those are your branches. They need to remain flexible enough to handle life's storms. If not, you risk breaking under pressure. So many people don't fail because they didn't have a plan. They fail because they clung to an old one that no longer served them. They keep doing the same workout even when it causes pain. They stay in a career path that once excited them, but now drains their spirit. They follow a morning routine that used to bring clarity, but now feels like a checklist with no soul. But the wise person, the Stoic, sees the signs early. They don't judge themselves. They don't panic. They listen. Stoicism reminds us this isn't failure, it's feedback. Improvement doesn't always mean doing more. Sometimes it means letting go. It means trimming the excess. Removing what no longer fits, cutting away the shoulds that no longer align with your present reality. You may realize that a habit you once thought was essential is now just clutter. Or maybe your schedule has become too crowded to allow for real focus. In those moments, growth comes from subtraction, not addition. Seneca warned us long ago, "He who is everywhere is nowhere," and the same applies to your efforts. When you spread your energy too thin, your system collapses. Of course, refining your system requires self-honesty. It's tempting to blame the process when things slow down. But before you toss your system aside, ask yourself, is the system broken, or have I simply stopped showing up for it? That's not always an easy question, but the truth often hides in discomfort. Approach your system like a scientist, not a judge. Look at your results as data, not a verdict. If you're not progressing, it doesn't mean you're a failure. It simply means something needs to be adjusted. Maybe you need to simplify. Maybe you need to focus. Maybe you need to remove distractions and recommit. Over time, this mindset trains you to see life, not as a rigid plan you must follow, but as a living experiment you're constantly refining. And that's exactly what the Stoics would encourage. Focus on what is essential in this moment. What's essential will change. That's natural. That's human. The key is staying awake to those shifts, willing to evolve without losing your foundation. When you treat your system as something alive, it becomes more than just a tool. It becomes a mirror, a reflection of who you're becoming. Each thoughtful tweak, each adjustment, each shift in your schedule or your mindset isn't just improving your productivity, it's shaping your identity. So don't fear change in your process. Fear becoming so rigid that you can't grow when life demands it. Systems are not cages, they're paths. And the best paths are the ones you can walk for a lifetime, adjusting with every turn, every season, every version of you, yet always moving forward. Here's the most powerful truth. Every action you take is a vote for the kind of person you believe yourself to be. Every time you follow your system, you cast another vote. This is why systems are not just productivity hacks. They're identity-shaping machines. Goals can change overnight, but the way you live, day in and day out, is what defines who you are. When you commit to a system, you stop telling yourself, I'm trying to become disciplined. Instead, you begin to live as someone who is disciplined. You don't try to get healthy. You live like a healthy person lives. You don't talk about building confidence. You take action like a confident person would. And in doing so, your identity catches up to your actions. This is where Stoicism and system thinking become one. Because the Stoics weren't interested in grand declarations of who they might become one day. They were interested in how they lived today. So far, we've walked through the core idea. It's not about chasing outcomes. It's about becoming the person who naturally creates them. Now, as we close, we return to the heart of Stoicism, the present moment, and the power of deliberate, disciplined action right here, right now. The Stoics didn't build their lives on wishes or distant ideals. They focused on what they could do today, what choices they could make, what actions they could take right now. As Epictetus famously said, first say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do. That's not a poetic invitation to fantasize. It's a call to action, to live as though you already are the person you wish to become. And how do you do that? You follow your system. Your system becomes the bridge between who you are now and the identity you're building. Every time you wake up and carry out your routine, every time you reflect on your actions at the end of the day, you reinforce a narrative, a story you're telling yourself about who you are. And over time, that identity becomes real. It becomes solid. It becomes self-sustaining. You no longer need to push yourself so hard. You don't have to constantly summon motivation. The system runs, not because you force it, but because it has become a part of you. It's who you are now. And that's also why breaking your system, even for a day, can feel deeply unsettling. Because it's not just about skipping a habit or missing a routine. It feels like you've stepped out of alignment with yourself. That internal discomfort, it's not a sign of failure. It's a sign of integrity. It's a quiet reminder, this isn't who I am anymore. Your system in that sense becomes more than a schedule. It becomes a moral compass. It gently tells you, without judgment, whether you're living up to your own standards, whether your actions still reflect your values. But here's a warning. Systems shape your identity, whether you're conscious of them or not. If your days are ruled by distraction, inconsistency, or avoidance, those behaviors will also settle into your self-image. You might begin to think, I'm just not focused. I'm not disciplined. I can't follow through. But those aren't personality traits. They're patterns, and patterns can be changed. You see, your identity isn't set in stone. It's being rewritten every day by the systems you follow or don't. If you don't build your system with intention, your environment, your impulses, and your habits will build it for you. The good news, you can change at any moment. You can begin again today. The moment you take a new action, the moment you honor a new rhythm, you start becoming someone else. You're not waiting to become a better version of yourself. You're becoming that version through your choices right now. And unlike goals, which can fall apart the moment you miss a milestone, a system gives you something far more valuable: forgiveness and flexibility. Every morning is another opportunity. Every breath is a fresh start. Every choice is a vote. You're not defined by the goals you've set, or even by the ones you've missed. You're defined by your repeated actions. And when those actions are grounded in the system you've chosen with care, you don't just generate results, you generate identity. Step back and look at everything we've covered. It all points to one powerful truth. Your life isn't transformed by a single moment of achievement. It's shaped by what you do consistently. Goals are inspiring. They give you direction. But they're fragile. They break when life gets messy. Systems are resilient. They don't demand perfect conditions. They adjust. They evolve. They carry you forward, storm or sunshine. This is the wisdom the Stoics carried. The good life isn't found in rare, dramatic achievements. It's built in the quiet repetition of disciplined action. Marcus Aurelius didn't need to say, "One day, I'll be a virtuous man." He simply practiced virtue daily, in his decisions, in the way he faced hardship, in how he treated others. Your life will follow the same law. Your identity, your destiny, will be forged in the routines you choose. Not in the dreams you talk about, but in the habits you live. That's the power of a system. It turns discipline into identity. It shifts your focus from chasing a finish line to becoming the kind of person who runs well every single day. That's the difference between temporary success and lasting transformation, between one moment of victory and a lifetime of mastery. So as you move forward from here, don't just write down what you want. Build the process that makes it inevitable. Let every day, every step, be a brick in the foundation of who you're becoming. Because it's not the finish line that defines you. It's the way you run the race. One focused, disciplined, courageous step at a time. And if you choose your system with intention and protect it with discipline, you'll never again wonder if you'll reach your dream. You'll know, because the person you're becoming is already living the life you once only imagined.